Hello again, you're in the newsroom here at Bloomberg TV India. The big news of the day is the cabinet reshuffle. Some new faces, some elevations, some demotions even. Joining us now on the phone line to get his perspective from Mumbai is CII President Godrej. Mr. Godrej, it's good to have you with us on a day that we've seen those significant changes come about in, the UPA too, as they are headed into election mode, really, looking at 2014 elections. But where industry is concerned, are you seeing this more than a political development?
Well, I think it's a very major ministry reshuffle, including cabinet reshuffle, and I've very rarely seen such a major one in the middle of a regime. Clearly, there were several reasons. One is, of course, Trinamool Congress left the government. Several people were asked to take dual charge, so all that has been corrected. And what is very refreshing to see is that a couple of the young ministers of state have been given independent charge. So I think it's a younger ministry, younger cabinet, and I welcome that.
Yes, but Mr. Godrej, now is the time that this economy as such requires fresh investments. At this point in time, looking at the new lineup that we've got, the kind of changes that we are talking about at the helm of affairs, with all the EGOMs, etc. that we have, so it seems like the core still is intact, but we have several new faces at the helm. Do you think that's going to bring about any significant change in terms of the image? Because there is also the effort clearly to create an image makeover, whether it's on the corruption front or whether it is on the stability front. The message that goes outside is what?
Well, that has already taken place to a certain extent. Perception about India has clearly improved, especially outside the country, with the appointment of the finance minister a couple of months ago. And I think the various messages we have sent out have been good. Now, this particular change, I don't see too many changes in important economic ministries, so I doubt if this change will have any particular effect on the perception of the country from a reform point of view. The major ministries in which reform does take place, which is the PMO, the finance ministry, the commerce and industries ministry, the portfolios remain unchanged.
On the infrastructure front, because that's where really the action needs to be, where this economy is concerned, whether you talk about the telecom space, the power sector as well, do you see the new kind of faces? For one, we have a Jyotiraditya Scindia who's going to be taking on the power ministry. You think that is going to bring about any significant change, fresh blood, as they've been talking about?
Well, I think Scindia is a good appointment to the power ministry, but Moili, who was holding that portfolio for a short while, was also very good in that ministry. I think that will be good. Telecommunications, there's no change because Kapil Sibal continues. Milind Devra, who was Minister of State, continues. Of course, Sachin Pilot has moved out of that ministry.
There was a whole ministry that Mr. Sibal was handling where it came to telecom and HRD, so that has been cleared, and that perhaps gives him more time or leeway to be able to do more things in the telecom space, doesn't it?
Sure, and I think that has been correct in the case of many ministers who had dual portfolios.
What do you make of Corporate Affairs Ministry now with Sachin Pilot, another fresh face, another infusion of new blood into the helm of affairs where this important ministry is concerned, especially at the time that we're talking about the companies bill? I
welcome that. Sachin Pilot is a very well-educated, bright young minister, and I welcome both Jyotiraditya's appointment and his appointment. I think that will promote the young ministers in the ministry, and I think that's a good development. I do hope that in the next couple of years we see some of these young ministers of state becoming cabinet ministers.
You did mention Mr. Chidambaram, and that infused, when he came into that finance ministry, that infused this sense of enthusiasm. But now looking at these kind of changes as we go into budget mode as well, do you see the next budget as being pragmatic or populist, looking at the kind of changes that we have going already? But obviously this is a function of the finance ministry. But in terms of the overall kind of change of atmosphere, do you think the government, as it goes into election mode, can afford to be pragmatic even as it tries to rake up a storm with what they've done so far today in the reshuffle?
Well, I am firmly of the view that a practical, pragmatic budget would be popular too and would help electorally. I think if you look at the history of the state elections over the last 5 to 7 years, state governments that have been development oriented, that have been reform oriented, have got re-elected. So I think clearly the electorate wants reform, the electorate wants progress, and I think you could have a good reform oriented budget and yet do very well politically.
Well, that at least is the hope. Mr. Godrej, thanks indeed for joining us here on Bloomberg TV India. This is a significant day where we've seen the big cabinet reshuffle. That's about all we could pack into this edition of the Newsroom. Thanks indeed for joining us. Bye-bye.